Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to the Full Time Sports Network. And we are live with the Football Lounge. And you're very welcome back to the Football Lounge. I'm joined, as always, by Colm. How
You muted yourself there, mate.
I got a delay in the intro. It literally was playing in my ears there as I was talking. I don't know what happened there. But Colm, how are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not too bad at all, thank you, my friend. So glad Premier League football's back. We've got away from all that international stuff. How are you doing, mate?
Not too bad at all, not too bad. Obviously, a quality result for us yesterday and one that we are all too pleased with. But I just saw a video before we came online about a certain Mr. Harry Maguire. And on Monday, apologies in advance if you are lurking anywhere in the corridors and you do see this, but there was some questionable timings in terms of his defensive play and positioning, which was highlighted by somebody. And I do want to say hello to the sports capital who wants to talk about Marcus Rashford. We would be delighted to indulge you in regards to that now shortly. And Colm, I believe there's a small bit of business to take care of. There was a competition in play, and I do have a couple of numbers written down here. And between 1 and 3, they were the ones that qualified for the draw. I want you to pick a number for me.
Okay, so you know what? United won 3-0 yesterday, so I'll go with number 3.
Well, the winner of the jersey is Rich Sports. I don't know if you can see it there, but the winner of the jersey is Rich Sports. And Rich, if you do see this, you do need to contact us. If we don't hear from you by this time the show goes out next week, we will be redrawing it amongst one of the other two. So, Rich, you're on your 7-day notice now to get in contact with us on FTSA to claim your jersey. Now, that being said, we also have a bit of sponsorship to take care of. So, Colm, would you mind doing the necessary?
No problem. So, as you know, if you've been here, we are proudly sponsored by Global Mapping Surveys. Global Mapping Surveys currently assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide range of services such as setting out, topographical surveys, and 3D laser scanning and monitoring. The link is in the description for the website and contact details. So, thank you to Global Mapping Surveys. And also, we are an official partner with Rafe Esports Energy Drink. Now, Rafe is a powder energy formula which is mixed with water, so it is a water-based energy drink. It's healthier than the generic energy drink cans you can buy at local supermarkets or shops. It's clean, zero sugar, antioxidant-rich formula. It's designed to give you the edge. If you scan that QR code and place an order and use our discount code of FTSN22, you will receive 10% off.
Absolutely. As you say, rate. We'll get it done for you. But Colm, I think before we get into tonight's topic, which is the top 4, the sports capital is calling you out. And you did say that the boy, Rashford, is not good enough. He's not up to the quality. He won't wear the United shirt. Now, are you going to eat your humble pie?
You know what? Right. Rashford must have been watching this show. He really must have. Because I have called out Rashford for being inconsistent, not being good enough. And, that was the key thing for me was the inconsistency. He'd have a great game and then he'd die off for 2, 3, 4 games. And he'd all of a sudden have another great game and he'd die off again. Marcus Rashford is making me eat my words right now. But the season is not over yet. Let's see if he can keep this form going. And I'm going to keep going at him because it seems to be doing something. I don't want to put in voodoo on myself so he's performing well. But, yeah, so I'm going to keep going at him. And, obviously, if people have watched our sister channel, the United Agenda, I am willing to put a thing up as well. So if Sports Capital is watching, you give me a number of goals Marcus Rashford's going to score this season. And if he matches that, I will eat
Satan Spawn. Okay, what are these now, Colin? Explain to the viewers.
So these are gummy bears, but they are not normal gummy bears. These are habanero chili and ghost pepper chili gummy bears. So they are
Ooh.
really hot, and I will happily eat one if Sports Capital or anybody else says, I'll have to agree on the number of goals because they can't say 12, or out like that. 'Cause it has to be a little bit higher than that. And if he hits them, I will eat one of them live on stream.
He fell down in a burning ring of fire because it's going to burn,
will
burn, burn. Now, I'm going to actually I'm going to put you to the test. What are we at now at the moment for Rashford? Is it 6 goals on this
Marcus
season?
Rashford, I believe so.
And are we talking Premier League only here?
Yes, Premier League only.
Right. Premier League only, Marcus Rashford. What is he currently on?
7.
7. Right. I'm going to propose to you 18.
18.
18.
Okay, yeah, fine. I'll take 18.
18. So, ladies and gentlemen, the challenge is set. If Marcus Rashford scores 18 or more goals, Colum is going to be taking on the Burning Ring of Fire challenge.
Yep, I am. You're right there.
But now that bit of shenanigans it has been dealt with, we are going to move on to today's topic, and we're going to keep this nice and short and sweet. This is the top 4 as it currently sits, Colin. As it slowly comes up on our screen. Nope. There it is. So obviously on top is Arsenal, who are currently leading the race to be Premier League champions in the 2022-23 season. These are closely followed by City, Newcastle, and Manchester United. And then there's a 5-point buffer back to Tottenham Hotspur after that as it sits. Now, I think everyone will agree at this point that Arsenal absolutely deserve to be where they are. The points that they've lost this season are only 1 loss to United, and I think there's 2 draws, one to Southampton and 1 to Newcastle. And I think everybody would agree that Newcastle, considering they've only conceded 11 goals, are a tough side to garner points from. So there's no shame in the points that they've lost. But I suppose, Colin, before we kind of get on to the Champions League spots, do you think Arsenal can maintain that momentum and see it through until the end of the season? A bit like Leicester when they kind of came out of nowhere. Now, Arsenal are obviously considerably bigger club, but will they do enough in the January window to make sure that they become league champions?
I think they will go into the market, yes. And if people have been watching anything that I've been doing, especially, with Bobby or any of the Arsenal guys from, the Armory TV, they'll know. And if they are in the chat, they'll be able to back me up. But I've been saying for the last few months before Arsenal were in this comfortable position that they are in, that Arsenal will win the league this season. I don't know why. I have that feeling. I've had it for a fair few months that Arsenal will win this season. But obviously this all comes down to as well if they do strengthen in the market. I know there's a lot of it's January transfer window, silly season, always is silly season when the window opens. It's going to be interesting because Arsenal are only 1 or 2 injuries away from starting to struggle. Obviously Jesus is currently out, so they're having to rely on Nketiah. If they get an injury to somebody like a Partey or an Odegaard or a Martinelli, for instance, or maybe a Saliba, have they got the suitable backup for those players? I don't think that they do, so they're going to have to go out and strengthen a little bit. But I can still see them maintaining what they're doing so far this season and winning it at the end.
Absolutely. No, there's one player that looks like he's arbitrating for a move to Arsenal, a bit like what Anthony did when he wanted to come to us. He's been posting videos of him watching the games, etc. But they've been subject to a late hijack bid from Chelsea. But it looks like the player has no interest and only has eyes for the Arsenal But the stumbling block is that Anthony price tag, and apparently Manchester United now could be found in the blame zone for the fact that Arsenal might not be able to secure him in January. How much do you think the market has taken a step in the wrong direction with some of the price tags that we are seeing?
I mean, it has. It's took an absolute wrong step in the direction. No player is worth that much money. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Enzo Fernandez, his name, the young one that we're on about not so long ago, 120 million euros or whatever it is. No player's worth that much at all. But let's not put the blame on United for Arsenal maybe not being able to secure this deal. Chelsea have been making big money moves way longer than what United have been doing. You know, I think it was when Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea, that's when we saw the prices start skyrocketing anyway, because he had the money to. And then obviously Manchester City being taken over, they pay stupid money as well for players. So let's not blame it on them. This has been happening for many, many years.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose the market is kind of subject to the level of interest in any player. So I suppose it's not exactly a selling club's fault if somebody pays stupid money for their player. It's what the market dictated, and it's what they were able to extrapolate out of the purveyor, depending on how desperate they were to secure the signature. But to get back on track, I think we're both in agreement that Arsenal would have a massive chance. But as you said, like with any team, a couple of key injuries, and all of a sudden your best laid plans are up in the air. But let's look at this top four. Currently, the incumbents, obviously, City, Newcastle, Manchester United. I think we're both in agreement that City are going to be in some one of those slots, and possibly even in the top slot come into the season. So I think we can ignore them to a certain extent and take it as for granted that they are going to be part of the top four. That leaves two slots currently occupied by us and Newcastle United. The chasing pack are Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool, and Chelsea in the main, unless you want to throw somebody else in the argument outside of those five. Do you see anybody else as a kind of a dark horse?
Not really, no. I think obviously United, the four there, and then obviously your Liverpools and your Chelseas and your Spurs. I think they're the ones, that are more likely to finish in the top four than anybody else. I would like to think that a team like Brighton, they're having a really good season. Even after Potter's left, they're having a really good season. But I just don't think they have enough to break into it just yet.
Absolutely. No, just as it stands, Tottenham are 5 points behind Manchester United and Newcastle. Liverpool are currently 7 points behind Manchester United and Newcastle. And Chelsea are 10 points behind Manchester United and Newcastle. However, they do have a game in hand, so that could also reduce to 7, similar to Liverpool. Is Chelsea possibly, even at this point of the season, out of contention, because they do seem to be struggling more than the rest?
I'm going to say no. I don't think we can rule anybody out. Obviously, Potter at Chelsea, it hasn't quite worked out for him at the moment. It's an up and down season for Chelsea. But I think Chelsea will come good. It's just taken them longer than what they expected to. I think, for instance, it's new manager. People, it takes time. It doesn't take weeks. It takes months for players to understand how he wants to play, and then they play that way of football. I mean, Man United have been very lucky. The players have clicked onto what Erik ten Hag wants very, very quickly, and we're seeing the results from that. So I think in this second half of the season, if Chelsea can fully understand what Potter wants, I think we might see a resurgent Chelsea.
Absolutely. So they are currently obviously spending in the market as well, and have been making acquisitions and inquiries about various different players. So that could obviously change the fortune. I'm going to skip Liverpool for a moment because I think I'm going to keep them towards the back end of the conversation. But the next one I want to touch on is, in fact, Tottenham Hotspur. We've been discussing on this channel for a while what's going on with Son, because he doesn't seem to be the player that he has been for Tottenham up to this point. Now, don't get me wrong, most of us are a big fan of the style of play of Son. I think he's a phenomenal player, but something just doesn't seem to be clicking, whether it's fatigue or whether it's the style of play Conte is trying to execute, or maybe even that the supply of ball that's coming through to him isn't actually at the same quality. But Son hasn't been delivering. And as a result, even though you would argue that Harry Kane is the striking talisman, Tottenham have been stumbling and have been faltering. Is it a case that Son is after falling off, do you reckon? Or is there just so many problems there that Conte just has a massive gargantuan task in his hand?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, okay, all Spurs fans were like, yeah, Harry Kane, but we've got Harry Kane this, Harry Kane that. Yeah, okay, you have Harry Kane. But have you noticed how Harry Kane's performances drop if Son's not performing very well or if Son isn't playing? The whole team revolves around Son. Doesn't revolve around Kane. It revolves around Son. If Son's on fire, then Tottenham are winning games. I think, and I don't know. It's I'm speculating, reading in between lines and all that kind of stuff. I think Conte has a wandering eye. I think he realizes what kind of trouble he's in at Tottenham. He doesn't want to be at a club where they're not competing properly. And Tottenham, let's face it, Tottenham never compete for anything. They've got that staple, they might as well hallmark it on the stadium ground when you walk in there. But I think, like I said, I think it's just a lot of issues as well. Because I know Conte and is it Daniel Levy don't see eye to eye as well. There's a bit of a rift forming there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think Tottenham are well out of this race.
I would tend to agree with you, Colin. And I think there was a quote from Conte himself there after the last Tottenham loss. And he said, well, we need to do what we can with what we have. And maybe sixth is the best, maybe seventh is the best. And I was thinking, this is a manager that does not have belief in his squad, because he's looking at them and all he seems to be identifying is problems instead of solutions. And as you said, maybe the wandering eye of what looked like it was going to be a simple move to a Juventus up until their financial problems. There's obviously other big clubs that could dip in and look for him. But moving along, Liverpool are the only other club that we want to discuss in terms of top four at the moment, outside of what's on our screens. And I'm just going to actually take that graphic down now because I think it's filled its purpose to an extent. But Liverpool have been hit with a mega blow today. It would seem that Virgil van Dijk's injury, thought to being a rather simple injury and was taken off precautionary in their last game, is a bit more significant than thought. This is a massive blow to their defensive line because, let's face it, that Liverpool back line hasn't been functioning like the one that was involved in the title charge. And it looks like the midfield now, with its aging personnel, is causing more problems. And we're seeing the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold getting his defensive lack exposed more and more. Without Van Dijk, could it be that Liverpool could start tumbling down table?
Well, the Man United fan in me is going to reply first and basically say, with Van Dijk being out injured, it's going to be exactly the same as what it's been all season with Van Dijk in the team anyway. But the actual sports pundit in this does worry for Liverpool. I mean, Van Dijk, is their rock. When he's on form, it's very hard to get past him. If Van Dijk's on tip-top form, then, Liverpool 9 times out of 10 will be coming out with 3 points or a draw. If the other guy's up top, Andy Carroll's not putting ball in back in there like we've seen all season. I don't think they'll start tumbling down as such. I think they won't be fighting for top 4 either. I think they'll be fighting for possibly 6th, 7th. That's what I think they'll be fighting for. I can't see them getting over Chelsea. And I don't think they're as good as Spurs either at the moment.
So a pretty damning review. And actually, as you mentioned, the Wish version of Andy Carroll, he is the subject of much mirth on the meme boards at the moment. We've seen the one with the missed plaster where they didn't cover where the baby got the injection. We've seen the one where the trucker missed the tunnel. There's countless numbers of them. And it does seem like a bit like Anthony, he hasn't adapted to Premier League football yet. But unlike Anthony, it was known prior to his arrival that even though he was scoring in bunches, he needed X four, maybe times the number of chances to yield that. So it does seem that it was a problem that any of the scouting teams that would have been looking at him would have been aware of and would have been saying, well, lads, we do need to be able to feed him multiple times per game for him to give us the return. But of course, it is a big pressure wearing a Liverpool shirt and the price tag that it carried. So maybe he might settle down eventually. But for now, he's looking like he's an absolute basket case in front of goal. Which now brings us to Newcastle United. And I think everyone is highly impressed with them. They're extremely organised under Eddie Howe. Defensively, in Trippier, they probably have the best wing back in Premier League at the moment because he's doing it on both sides of the pitch for them. He's providing opportunities for goal scoring, and he's pretty much forming the nucleus of that arc defensively. And the surprise package, Botman, he's slid in there to centre back in front of Pope and probably hasn't put a foot wrong all season. And as evidenced by the fact that they've only conceded 11 goals, stingiest defence in Premier League by a long shot. The concern, I think, Colum, would probably be the depth squad. Once you go beyond maybe the first 2 or 3 subs, it does dive down significantly for them. Is it an important window for them now to supplement their resources?
Oh yeah, this is going to be one of their most important windows. I mean, they're challenging for top 4. You know, they're challenging for Champions League football. This is what they want. They've had to wait a very, very long time, you know, to be in the position where they are. They have to go out and buy 1 or 2 players just to bolster up. I mean, you know, Saint Maximin is a little bit like Anthony Martial. You know, his bones are made of glass. So, you know, he gets injured quite a lot. Isaac's still out injured as well at the moment. You know, they're only 1 or 2 injuries away from falling into trouble themselves. I think, you know, if they can keep certain players fit, you know, Almiron, I think he needs to stay fit for him. I think he's been absolutely amazing for him so far this season. Pope, if they can keep Pope fit as well, you know, I don't understand how so many Premier League clubs missed out on Pope. You know, we know how good he is. But yeah, they need to go, especially if you like, I mean, Newcastle in a great position. I mean, I've got the next couple of fixtures there. Out of the top 4, Newcastle have the best run of fixtures in the next 4 games. You know, I mean, Fulham isn't an easy game. You know, neither is Crystal Palace or West Ham, but Newcastle should have enough, you know, firepower and team spirit, and Eddie Howe's doing a fantastic job. So, you know, I expect him to get at least 3, 6, 9, 12. I mean, they should absolutely walk through Bournemouth, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think it'll be very disappointing next 4 games if they don't walk out with at least, you know, 10 points out of the next 4.
I tend to agree with you there. I think Crystal Palace are there to be got it this season, and a team of Newcastle's quality without any significant injuries should be able to get 10 points out of that run. Whether it's against Palace or against Fulham that they drop the points, who knows? But yeah, I would tend to agree with you that they are definitely the team that looks the most capable out of Newcastle, Liverpool, and Chelsea and Spurs to supplement their claim to a top 4 spot. But Colin, without going too deeply into Manchester United, because there are some people in our immediate network of workers that think that we're turning this into a bit of a United fan channel. I do want to ask you about one thing. Dubravnik obviously has gone back to the aforementioned Newcastle because lack of games, but we're looking at a goalkeeper to kind of come in there from Crystal Palace by the name of Butland, one time considered the heir to the throne of the England jersey, but never developed to the level that saw him stake his claim as one of the top keepers in England. Is this another bench rider that he's literally going to be signing just because he could say that he wore a Manchester United jersey?
That is basically the only reason he's signing for Manchester United is to sit on the bench. I think it has to be made very, very clear. David De Gea is number one. And whoever to bring in, whether it be Dean Henderson that they call back on loan from loan, or whether they bring somebody in, Ten Hag is going to turn around and say to him, "You are number two. You sit on that bench, and you do not get involved unless I tell you to get involved." And that is it. De Gea is number one. He does everything. We'll call on you when we need you. Just sit there and watch the game and collect your money. That is literally what it is.
Now, obviously, ideally, and I'm just going to touch briefly because United Agenda will be talking about this at 8:30. De Gea signalled his intention to sign a new contract with Manchester United. He's also stated he wants to finish his career with Manchester United at this point and is more than willing to take cuts in remuneration. I suppose in the long term, I think what the hope would be is that a young goalkeeper, whether it's Costa from Portugal or whoever it is, will come in there, will take on what De Gea has to tell him in terms of how you need to perform at this level and hello Solo, how we're doing. And then going forward, challenge De Gea for that number one jersey, where maybe towards the end of that contract, De Gea is in fact number two, but will be quite happy that he'll have sufficient number of games that he will be involved in over the course of the season that he has overseen the transition between him and who's going to be taking us forward for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that. I can also see, De Gea being number one until, like you said, he decides to retire, bringing somebody else in, him working with that other goalkeeper, and then maybe bringing in another goalkeeper. So we've got like three, So we've got the one that's going to be stepping up to replace De Gea, but then we've got one underneath him because we're going to need somebody. And then De Gea, hopefully, if it's right for him, taking over as a goalkeeper coach, staying with United and progressing, the players that have come in. Hopefully, that'd be a good idea.
Absolutely. So, Colm, as we kind of approach the end of the show, we do need to kind of commit to a top four. I'm going to ask you first of all, where do you think United will finish? And then give us the 1 to 4.
It's going to be really difficult. It's really, really difficult because I'm going to get slammed for this. I know I am. I'm going to get clipped up as well. United's next two games are City and Arsenal. If we win those two games, you have to turn around and say Man United are in a title challenge. You have to say it because they're the top two. So you have to say it because we'll leapfrog City, depending on results. Realistically, I'm going to say United will finish third. I'm going to go with third, realistically. And the top four will be Arsenal, City, United, Newcastle.
Arsenal, City, United, Newcastle. I'll be honest with you, I'm finding it very difficult to argue with that because that is what I had in my head before you so articulately put it. I think that the biggest challenge for the rest of the teams below and Newcastle is obviously going to be at squad depth. So depending on what Newcastle do, they have a chance to pretty much confirm their slot in fourth. Now, maybe third as well, depending on what United do, because it is also critical for United to get reinforcements. But I do think that Liverpool possibly has stretched their budget as far as it's going to go after signing Cody Gakpo. And as for Tottenham, Daniel Levy isn't in the habit of spending in January. So I would say It's going to be the 4 as stated, with Liverpool, depending on how long Van Dijk is out for, being the main protagonist, just shifting one of United or Newcastle out of
Yeah, I can see that.
But just to wrap up, I do want to reiterate that Rich Sports, you were picked at random by Column, and you do have 7 days to claim your jersey. If you do not claim it by then, it will be redrawn next Tuesday night. We're returning to our normal slot at 7:30. We will be putting out a tweet, and I will tag you in it. But that will be the extent of the publication. It'll be then up to you to make claim and reach out to either myself or Colin. But for tonight, that is it from us. I want to thank you all for your wonderful attention during the show. And finally, just to mention our sponsors one more time, rates are given very kindly, give us a discount code, which is for 10% on the powdered energy drink solution that they offer, and GMS, our global mapping service, whose link will be in the description below. But from us, thanks very much and good night.